Welcome back to another episode of Thanks for the Consult. I'm Fior. We have with us today Aaron
The wave.
and yeah, another wave and a man that needs no introduction, Talo. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'll point at you guys. So, yeah.
All right, enough of the niceties. Let's get back to what we were talking about here. Okay. So you
So
have
Australia, go ahead.
two
Go
Australian
ahead.
Shepherds.
I don't. The firehouse has two that live here, that stay here. And one has a tail and one doesn't have a tail. And we were talking about why they don't.
Right. Please expand.
So they were bred to herd cattle, and cattle can be mean when they're being told what to do and they don't actually want to do what they're told to do. So they'll actually grab the dog by the tail and throw it. So they cut the tail off the shepherds, the Aussies, so that they don't get flung like
Is that how they
ragdoll.
used to lose the tails? Like they would get flung and then the tail would come off?
I don't know. I think it was just because they kept seeing the cattle bite them by the tail and were like, just remove the temptation, right?
Right.
I mean, makes sense.
And the tail is the most biteable part of an Australian Shepherd.
Right. I mean, they're like little built low to the ground for speed. Like, so, yeah.
Okay.
Do you send them down your slide?
Yeah. The one actually does go down the slide. Hold on.
Oh,
Let me
sure.
see if I can.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Like they're part of the firehouse, right? Like they,
And it, I mean, I guess the part that's shocking to me is that the dog enjoys going down the slide.
yeah, like,
He's just right on
here I
down.
come.
That's awesome.
Yeah, see, and that's one with the tail. So, yeah, just right down the slide. It's like the guy's coming down the slide too, but the dog,
Yeah.
so, but it kind of walks. The guy's just,
Have you ever had somebody gotten stuck in the slide and had to practice removing people from confined space?
We've had the exact opposite. So like we had a kid that lived here that liked to play pranks, and he armoralled said slide.
My God.
So, and it goes from the second floor to the first floor. Our second floor is probably like normal commercial height, so like 15 feet. It's a decent angle. And poof, looked like someone like just ejectocito right out the middle of the slide. Right.
Dude, when I worked at Hampton way back when, they don't exist anymore, so I think I can say their name. They used to make us like detail the ambulances before the 4th of July, and somebody armoralled the bench seat.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah. Somebody hit the brakes and you go flying like a rocket.
Yeah. Well, and of course those like old time ones had, I know Ross, we had like the fold down like bar that never got folded down. So
Yeah.
like you came right off the front of the bench.
You're
Or
right,
they
right,
had like
right
or they
door.
had like the metal like divider bar that you would hit. And I mean, if I hit one at speed, it probably would have bent over, but like it probably would have broke Aaron in half, right?
Somewhere there's a policy in an insurance agency that they made specifically that says you cannot cover somebody who has been injured due to armor-all slippage.
Right.
Probably.
Well, and they'd probably be like, well, that's why we make seatbelts in the back of your ambulance.
I'm trying to remember if those actually had seatbelts in them at that point.
They did. They always did.
Did they? Yeah.
Dude, I remember riding
they
boxes
did.
when I worked at Medic Rescue that were from the like early 90s that had seatbelts.
Yeah.
Now were those two? They also had like the seatbelt on the front of the bench seat, so that when you put someone, the patient that you put, the patient on the board, you could. Aaron's like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, we took. I think the most I ever took on boards was 3. Because we had like the long bench sheet at Ross, and then we had the short one on the other side that fit a PD board. So you could take 2 people on 6-footers and a PD.
Well, yeah, I've only taken 2, one on the cot and one on the bench seat, which, yeah.
Even then, you're like, woof.
Yeah, well, I had to like watch him from the captain's seat.
No, you move around.
Yeah.
But there's nowhere to move to. They're occupying the other seats.
Yeah, there was not a lot of sitting.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, and I mean, like, you're like, oh, what am I going to do for the next hour and a half? We were like, oh, what are we going to do for the next 6 minutes? Hauling ass down 279.
Yeah.
So, right.
I had a crash the other day where I had one. There was 2 ambulances there, 2 ALS patients. One didn't necessarily need to go, but they were minor, so they were going to go with their parent, who was one of the ALS patients. And I was like, I'll just bring them with us. They're like, can we do that? I was like, I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been doing it since 2000. It is definitely allowed.
Yeah, unless they changed something. I mean, he sit in the captain's chair and worked out well because they had full BLS crews. So I just took one of them with me. One of the EMTs tended to the BLS patient. I tended to the ALS patient. It
Away
was
you
all
went.
good. Yeah.
Can't beat that. You're telling me you don't do that out there? Like you,
But we
I
do that
mean,
all the time.
yeah, I was gonna say. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, no, like to get another ambulance. We had like a motor vehicle accident with like 5 kids in a vehicle, and they were all minors, and none of their parents were there. So we're like, oh, looks like they all got to go to the hospital. So we had like 2 trucks, and we were like, all right, well, 3 in this one, 2 in this one, I guess.
yeah, right. You just send them. Like I ended up in Beaver County one night, on Talo things, as Fjord will tell you. And like I heard them calling for a second helicopter, and I called the county. I'm like, hey, is there a second unit on scene? And they're like, no, there's only one ambulance, but they're requesting 2 helicopters. And I'm like, huh, okay. So I go beat feet and out there, and like first they wouldn't let me in the door to the ambulance because someone told this fire department person, don't let anybody in. And I'm like, it says paramedic on my shirt. They're asking for help. Move out of my way. No, I'm not allowed to let anybody in. Move.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Uh,
move you.
yeah. So I like open the door and this paramedic spinning in circles, holding an IV catheter. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I'm like, you have 2 ALS patients. And I look and they definitely had 2, like moderate patients, but they're like, okay, we're going to leave for the landing zone. I'm like, oh, hold on a second. Let me at least grab my monitor so we can actually monitor the second ALS patient.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but yeah, 2 ALS patients in one truck. That was fun.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, if you got 2 providers, it's really just 1 and 1,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
One-on-one care.
Yeah,
And
just
actually, I think the EMT stayed in the back too. So,
I was
uh,
crowded.
yeah, in a box. So a mini mod.
Oh, man.
At
Dude,
least it wasn't a van. At least it wasn't a ambulance. You can barely
I
fit
don't
me and
think
one
it'd be
other person in
possible.
a
Yeah.
ambulance, let alone like so.
Dude, I can't the ambulances, they're impossible. I'm tall and fat. Like,
Right.
I got nowhere to
Smack my
go.
head, smack my elbow, look like a clown getting out of the thing, look like a Papa Bear crawling out of that thing.
Uh,
So,
and I feel like
yeah.
when I roll up to the hospital in those things, like me getting out, that thing's shaking. People are just like, look at this big fat ass coming out of
Yeah.
here.
What the hell's going on? Like, I never thought I would be a fan of the sprinters, but they're actually better than the vans because they're like, sides aren't as curved. So they go like straight up. So you
That
get a
makes
little more
sense.
room. Yeah. And the
What,
doors go
I
the
feel
whole
like I'm
way up.
driving a toaster.
Yeah. I'd lay one on its side if I had to drive one
yeah.
like regularly. I have
Well,
a whole lot of go and not much slow.
the sprinters that have a mod on them look interesting to me. I don't know that I would enjoy working out of them full time, but I would like to take a call in one of them.
The only ones I ever did was cranberries, like doing backup, and
Yeah.
you kind of sat high in them, but like
Hmm.
their back was set up for one patient for like care on the move, so you're like in a seat that has a 5-point restraint that can spin and slide.
I
So
would get very distracted by spinning and sliding.
well,
Like, oh,
you
I'm
had to
supposed
you
to
had to
take care of you.
release
Hold on.
them. You had to release them, so like it didn't do it automatically.
You'd be like,
Fair enough.
oh, I keep forgetting things over this way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm back, and I'm gone. Like yours like
Yeah.
patients like what in the hell's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have to try to jump a call with them one of these days so I can just
Well,
check it out.
they only have a couple left, so
Oh, are they getting rid of them? I didn't know that.
yeah, they're picking up some new stuff post COVID. I guess their stuff's finally getting delivered.
Yeah.
Right.
I yeah. There's this service I worked for previously had 3 ambulances on order, and the lead time was 4 years. Like they're just
Yeah,
starting to come in now.
yeah, we have a fire truck that's 16 months delayed, so it was supposed to be a 2023. We're hoping to get it at the end of this year.
Yeah. How does that affect warranty on those things? Like, 'cause the manufacturer warranty starts from the day that it leaves the manufacturer and goes to the upfitter.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that's an interesting question that it's written out there. So it does start when it leaves the manufacturer. So our motor we have a 23 motor. Right? It has a
Yeah.
couple of years on the warranty. So,
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, especially with the fire trucks, like typically you find the problems pretty darn quick on the motor.
mhm. Yeah,
Uh, because y- you're taking a brand new motor and putting it at its absolute maximum weight capacity.
right. No break-in time. So, yeah,
Yeah, firemen are notoriously great at breaking in motors, real
yeah.
nice and gentle.
Breaking motors,
Yeah.
breaking them. Yeah, trust me.
There's a guy that works for the volunteer fire service and where I work, and he lost a fire apparatus the other day. Like he thought he
But
put it in park, ended up in a field.
dear
Oh
Lord,
shit!
I was gonna say like
I
the
thought you
the
meant like he parked it somewhere and someone moved it. Like,
No,
so
no, he literally lost it.
so Taylor, the fire department I'm with back in the day, they went out to the Saxonburg uh, parade,
yeah,
and apparently everybody was drinking. This was back when the fire station was really a drinking club, and
hmm
every once in a while you had to run those pesky fire calls. And I guess they got so inebriated they took the wrong fire truck home. Like didn't
hold
realize
on a
it
second.
the next day.
If I'm not mistaken, your fire company has a very distinct color of fire truck, right?
No, red and white.
Oh, I'm thinking your cousins
Yeah,
to the north.
yeah,
I was gonna
yeah.
say, like, how do you take the wrong color fire truck home?
Exactly. Yeah, but no, and I think it was like a fire company out in Butler County, like deep in Butler, like northern Butler County. They took their engine home, and then it took them a couple days to realize it, and then try to figure out how to get in contact with them. Like,
But
hey,
how's
do
it
you
take
have?
a couple of days? Like, you're telling me that other fire company was like, well, ours is gone. We'll take this one.
I guess that's,
Maybe
again, I
that's a way
wasn't
to get
there.
new fire trucks. Like or
Yeah,
ambulances, right? Pull into
could have.
the the hospital. I like that one better. Take my drug box and monitor. I'll see you guys later.
Yep.
Someone stole our ambulance. I didn't steal it. I just traded.
Yeah, you can have ours.
Yeah.
I left the keys in it,
All right.
but
Fire trucks don't have keys. So,
correct.
well,
Correct.
some
Well,
do. Some do.
yeah.
Wait, what do they have?
They just
All
have like
switches.
the big ones. They have big kill switches.
What, so you get to pull like a giant lever?
No.
I mean, if you spec it correctly, you could,
I
I
mean, if you
guess.
spec it, you could like a big throw switch, but
That would be
you know how
sweet.
like your
You
ambulance
have
on the
a
floor has the
Kong?
like on off switch. It has like the on off lever.
I don't know
Do
if
you
he's
have
old enough
those?
to have those. Like
I don't think so.
the big metal switch that you just like
Turn the batteries
quarter
on,
turn.
turn the batteries off.
For the mod?
Yeah, yeah. Like
Like there's like a kill switch for the mod that's just like a little button.
No, so
no,
there used to be on ambulances just a metal
a
switch you
quarter
turned to a
turn
quarter
valve.
turn, and that turned the batteries on that were in the back. So there was the batteries under the hood that was what would start the truck, and then there's a bank of batteries in the back because lights and everything, the halogen lights would just murder your alternator no matter how big
Right.
an alternator you put in. So that's what that would be.
There's
So
a
you turn
reasonable
those on.
chance that my trucks do have that, and I just don't know.
I mean,
You
you
would
would
know.
know
You would
because
know.
nothing would work. Like, but fire trucks have either one or two of those, and then there's like a ignition switch and then a start
Yeah, it just
button.
says push to start, and you just
Yeah,
push it, and it
but you have to hold it because that's actually spinning your starter.
yeah,
It's not like
it's
yeah,
Fire trucks are the OG push to starts.
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Not great on security, but
We actually, when I was living at the firehouse years ago, we carried a club. Like you remember the club? Because our fire chief at that time liked to play jokes on us. We would go to Giant Eagle to get dinner, and we would come out, and the fire truck would be gone, and his car would be sitting like close by. The one time he left it with his wife in it, so we all jumped in his car with his wife with our groceries and took it back to the firehouse. So whatever.
nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we put a club on the fire truck.
Beat them?
No, it
No, there
was
was a thing
steering
called
wheel.
oh my God.
You're
That's
messing
not
Probably
with
you
the
like
engine.
you just got like a bat and you're just like boom.
yeah.
No,
You
so it
left the
like
junior member there, and he just beat any intruders with
yeah,
this
so
bat.
it
That's
was
what.
like a
Effective.
it was you remember the bike locks that like extend and lock so the wheels don't turn?
Yeah.
and you put that on your steering wheel. So you couldn't
Mm,
turn the steering wheel. It would like hit the windshield or hit your legs. It's called the club.
fascinating.
I think I can share a screen with you. We'll see.
I once got a boot place on my car.
Why?
Well, all right. So whenever I
Parked
was in
where you shouldn't.
college,
Right.
well, no, I was entitled.
Here, this is a club, and it would just go on your steering
Steering
wheel,
wheel.
and then it would hit the windshield, so you couldn't turn the wheel.
So if you were okay with not having a windshield, you could still steal it.
I mean,
No, because then it would hit the A post, and it.
or your legs. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just take like really rounded turns.
I mean, you could. I mean, I'm sure that somebody has.
I think this
Right.
was this one here was the answer to that. Hold on, where'd it go?
The one that goes like down to the gas pedal.
Yeah, like locks your brake and your
Yeah.
wheel
Your
together.
steering wheel.
But yeah,
Yeah, so I had a boot put on my car whenever I was in college because like we had like a couple parking spots behind the dorm and I would like park there where you weren't supposed
Not
to,
supposed
right?
to. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But like parking was like half a mile away and I was a resident assistant, so I was like, I should. Who's gonna get me in trouble, right? Well,
yeah, the
apparently,
people with
apparently the park. Okay,
Yeah.
so they have campus police, right? But they don't. But they aren't the ones who give the tickets. It's just some student, some narc student who's like, "Ooh, I want to write tickets for people," and like walks around like a wannabe rent-a-cop, like, "Oh, I'm going to write tickets for people parking where they want." Oh my gosh! So
Where
it
did you
says
go
in
to
their
school?
policy. I'm not disclosing this information.
Okay.
It says
like
in
you're
their
trying to get part
policy.
or something.
Yeah.
It
So
says in their
go ahead.
policy. Yeah, that there's 6 tickets until you get a boot put on your car. Well, I got to 6 and I was like, haven't heard, like
Right.
I haven't paid a fine. Like I just keep pocketing these things,
Right.
I would lose them. Like I had so many of them. I got to like I think 24, 25 of them, and I knew the guy who like they had like a appeal committee that was like you could be like, hey, I don't deserve this parking ticket. And so I knew the
Right.
guy, so I would just like make up fake excuses like for some of them, and he's like, dude, I can't excuse like 25 of them.
Right.
Like I can
Had to
get rid of a
run.
couple of these.
Yeah.
In the same spot, nonetheless. Not
But
like different
nobody
places
ever.
over campus.
Yeah, no, it was always the same place. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But nobody said anything to me till like the very end of the year, and I'm like, okay, but I should only have to pay for 6 of these because that was your policy, right? You said after
Yeah. You should
6
have
of these,
booted
I
me.
get a boot.
Right.
What's that?
Right. It's 6. You should have booted me, and I should have learned my lesson, and I would never do
Right,
it again. Right.
right. But they let me get to 24, and they're like, no, you got to pay out 24.
You
I'm like,
didn't
well,
punish me hard enough in the beginning, and I didn't learn
right.
my
So if you're not
lesson.
going to enforce your policy, I'm not going to comply to it. You know what I mean?
You really do like watching the world burn, don't you?
I
I love it.
just wanted to.
I'm not judging
I
you,
just
dude. I
wanted to
love it.
park. I just wanted to park nearby.
No, you're holding people to task as well. Like you're like, enforce your policy, right? And
Right.
then don't come at me when you haven't enforced your policy. And oh, well, now that you called me out for being a shitbag and not enforcing my policy, I'm gonna come and put a boot on your car. Which
Right.
is a D-bag move. It's a D-bag
Right.
move.
Taylor, I like you. You're all right.
Yeah, I get it.
You're
right?
all right, bro.
Personally, I would have booted you and then kept writing you. Right. So you would have gotten the boot at 6, but you would have gotten 24 tickets.
Well, it's like when you complain about like somebody that you work with, and it's like they don't have anything on their record or anything like that, and it's like, well, people be like, oh, they did this, that, and the other thing. Well, no one ever written it down. It's nothing in their employee profile. They're like, why can't we get rid of this guy? It's like, well, you've done nothing to him. You know what I mean? Like, if
And then the
you
next
gotta
thing
do
you know,
things the right way.
yeah, next thing you know, there's a stack of papers like this big on your desk about employee A, right?
I tried to
Everyone's
form
like,
a resident assistant union, and they weren't going for that because I was like, the union will fight for me on this. But
Yeah,
well,
I don't know. The unions have as much
not going there.
power
Not going there.
as
the next year, I scheduled a meeting with the superintendent of the university to talk about a
Yeah.
couple of different things, and some of them were serious and legitimate. Like, hey, we
Yeah.
should really work on fixing this because it was right during COVID too that I was in school, so there was like some serious problems.
Was it the booting policy?
One of the things was the parking policy. Well, because they would have. Okay, so here's the other thing, right? They had this parking office where you would go get your parking permit. So many kids got like ticketed because they didn't have their parking permit for the proper lot. But you could only go there between 8 and 12 like 2 or 3 days a week. It's like, dude, I'm like a productive student. I schedule my classes during that time. I don't have time to be going over there and dealing with your nonsense with this whole parking. I pay thousands of dollars to go to school
Right.
here. Thousands of dollars. You do not need an extra $250 or whatever the heck it was for me to pay to park in this parking lot. There was plenty of parking spaces.
Right. But in this day and age, there's things called plate readers. Ever heard of them? Put one on a car. It can drive through the parking lot. If my shit's not registered, there you go. Now you can get me.
Well, they don't
That's
need those because they have a whole like posse of narc students who are like, I want to get people in trouble, write them up, so maybe one day a police officer will like me.
All right.
well, I know at IUP the permit's just your plate's registered, and they do that. They run through with a plate reader, and it tells them if it's
I got ticketed there too.
yeah.
I
Not
peeled that one though.
surprised. Did you win?
I did win that one,
Nice. But
but they seem to be a bit more organized. So I didn't. Yeah.
yeah. But they just they run the car with the plate reader through, and then if your license plates you're in the wrong spot, they'll put a ticket on your window. And yeah, first one's a warning though. I only got a warning. But
Aaron, I just realized how many A's you have in your name, like, and they're all at the beginning.
It's a lot, right?
Right. And they're all at the beginning, right? They're not evenly
Alphabetical,
spaced.
like when
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, we'll go by alphabetical order," I'm always first.
yeah.
A, Ron.
Yeah, I mean, call back to the episode with Norm. We learned that that's called a diphthong, the
What,
double
the
A.
AA? Okay.
Mhm.
The double vowel.
So I
Yeah.
actually did my homework. I watched a couple I went back and watched a couple more episodes that I had
Okay.
watched, and I wanted to like
Sure.
be like I wanted to follow up on some things that I like saw. So
Yeah.
Did you take notes?
Well, yeah, let's.
I did, but my ADD got the best of me, and I forgot them at home. Right, so that whole PTSD induced ADD ain't really working for me. And
I
again, it
think
goes back to that is why I need some sort of stimulant, and well, not stimulant, but I need some sort of
stimulant.
ADD med or something like
Yeah,
that.
well, they're all stimulants. I get
Right.
it.
God
So
forbid.
you just said something PTSD induced ADD. Is that a legitimate thing? Like you can get
Yeah.
ADD from? Okay, that
So because
is
chronic PTSD can actually change the chemical makeup of your brain.
interesting.
Yeah.
So that would be probably why. Again, I've not done any research past this moment right now, just a revelation. There's so much neurodivergence found in first responders. It's probably
It could be. There's
I think a lot of that neurodivergence happened before they became first responders.
no, I agree, but like the numbers they're insane. I don't remember what the percentage is, but it's like in no other profession do you find that many.
I also think that we're
cross them
drawn
off.
to the not working in a box. You know, like
Yeah.
we're working in a box, but we're not
Yeah.
like, you know, day to day our
the cruel irony of thinking outside the box regularly while working inside of one.
wow.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
right. I'm stuck in a box while trying to function outside of the box.
Poetic.
Right.
Well, that's why
Right.
we put the box on wheels and
Let it go wherever it wants. Right. So like one of the things was Jeff Kelly, right?
Okay.
So I worked, interesting story, linking things together. Jeff was the reason that I got hired at Ross Westview. Jeff got promoted,
Huh.
I got hired.
Okay.
So that was, but he said, like, you know, we put people in a $200,000 vehicle and we let them go out and do good, right? What's really crazy is like we're putting two 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and now they're $250,000, $300,000 vehicles with $200,000 worth of equipment. So here's $500,000. Go have fun. Go do good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Don't wreck.
So, right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not only don't wreck, don't kill anybody, don't do,
Yeah.
you know, like, so, but
I am very much above the median, however you want to measure it, age of like people we employ at my service, and it's not even close. And I'm 26. So like that's not only is it just that there are some people, it is the majority of your staff is like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that, you know, another thing Jeff talked about is when I got into EMS, paramedics were in two places. They were in ambulances or chase vehicles, and they were in helicopters for stat medevac, right? They didn't employ paramedics. They may have employed paramedics in the ED, but there was like one for the entire Allegheny General Hospital, right? Um, or they were like a research. There wasn't research, right? You didn't have paramedics doing research. You didn't have um, the remote jobs that are being done now. You didn't have the health clinics, so the jobs that a paramedic can do now has changed. So at 42 years old, do I want to beat my body getting in and out of an ambulance every day, or do I want to wear comfy shoes and some scrubs and go to an urgent care, right? Where I know that we close the doors at 8 p.m. and I am clocking out at 8:15. I'm supposed to be done at 2 and at 1:59 because my shit bag relief, if it isn't there, I'm going on a call. And Northern Butler County, so my relief isn't there. I get a call 2 minutes before the end of my shift, and 3 hours later, I'm getting back. Right. So, I mean, it
They're
probably
looking at
doesn't
rolling
happen.
out this paramedic practitioner thing too, which is like, I guess it's going to be like a master's degree, and you're going to function
Mhm.
underneath a
Yeah.
physician's medical license.
Yeah, that seems like what they've been doing on like offshore paramedics, like the oil rig paramedics and things like that,
And
where
I'm not gonna
you're
lie, I've looked
by
into like
yourself.
I looked into that before becoming a dispatcher, right? Like, another thing that Jeff didn't say it during his presentation, but at one point in his life, at one point he told me, it becomes about who's going to pay you the most amount of money for the longest amount of time, right? So,
Sure.
knowing your worth and getting as much money as you can. So I explored the offshore thing. I explored the like oil rig thing. The offshore thing, like a lot of those, they want you to be able to suture. They want you to be able to do, um, like, they want you to function as like a PA almost. But
Yeah,
like,
like you're giving out like antibiotics, like oral antibiotics. Hey, take
right,
this for 10 days, what have you. Uh,
yeah,
check
I
back
know it
or
hurts. I know it hurts when you pee, but you should have been better off the floor, right?
yeah,
So.
yeah.
Right. The stuff at home gets you, man.
Yeah.
So,
The stuff ashore brings you're bringing it back to the oil rig with you.
great. So, I mean,
But I think one of the things that I will say is in those kind of in that vein is there's a lot of really cool things that are now available. Like there's travel paramedics that go
mhm.
on cruise ships for, a period of time and, go to different, I wish that I had known about that. I'm sure it's this not brand new. It might be, but I wish I'd have known about that when I was younger. That'd have been awesome. But,
Yeah, now that you're married with a kid and like all that kind of stuff, and it's
yeah,
hard to. No, I don't have that problem, but Aaron doesn't have that problem yet. Like, but it's hard to be like, hey, I'm gonna be gone. Like even the oil rig thing, right? Depending on where you are, it could be a 3 week on, 1 week off, 3 week on, 3 week off,
yeah,
2 and 2. I know a girl that just did not just, but like end of last year, early this year, she did two different 3 month contracts out of state, and she made a crap ton of money. But she was able to pick her life up and move for 6 months. I don't know if any of us could do that.
no, that's the thing. I know I couldn't right now, but when I was younger, I did the fixed wing
Yeah,
stuff. That was awesome. I got to see a lot of the world. I got to see some cool places. I couldn't do it now, you know, be stuck out, be like, hey, when are you coming home? I don't know. We're supposed to be done tomorrow, but the pilots ran out of hours.
yeah. The pilots ran out of hours, and it's snowing. Okay,
So we're on a
right.
48-hour reset. And
I think it's crazy though. Like if you go work for a flight service, you're gonna end up making less money a lot of times than you could as a medic on a truck.
nowadays, yeah.
That's crazy.
But I I agree, I guess. I don't know. Um
Thanks for the
I
meaningful input.
Yeah, no, I think it probably all comes back to supply and demand. People really want that job, right? It's cool. You're in the helicopter, you're wearing the flight suit and the helmet, and
But
it's
on the other
so
hand, like a lot of times, and not taking anything away from what they do because I have a bunch of friends that do it. Like a lot of times it's interfacility, it's critical care with four
yeah,
or five drips.
yeah,
You're putting it, the difference between that and the CCT truck, is it has rotors instead of wheels.
yeah. See, I don't know. I if I long term could do, I think it'd be cool to do for a little bit.
Mhm.
I don't know that long term that would be for me. I think I'd get bored.
I
with
think the
the
other problem is like, especially in our job, like
yeah
we can just get in the truck and go and visit people. Like you
yeah
can't just jump in the
fuck
helicopter
yeah.
and go visit. Yeah, I'm gonna go visit this EMS service, right?
They get a lot more concerned about that fuel consumption there.
Yeah,
Just
that whole
dispatching
thousand,
fire departments for landing zones.
yeah, that 1,000 hour rebuild really costs a lot of money, So
The oil change every couple thousand miles.
right, you know.
But
So
yeah, you're right. I do enjoy that part of the job, just being able to go.
so another thing, Aaron, you asked was, did you ever call anybody to who's the guy with the mullet? What was his name?
Hunter.
Hunter. You guys were talking about like, did you call anybody other than medical command? And the answer to that is yes. I do it all the time. Like, because it's like, am I being dumb on this? I called Fjord after the fact the other day. I had a guy that definitely was shocky, pressure in the 80s. His figured out his map was like 50s. Heart rate in the 140s. Like sick out in the middle of nowhere. We ended up spending almost 40 minutes with this guy, and he ended up having a GI bleed. Like, put him in the truck. The truck leaves to the hospital, and I'm like, man, I really wish I could have given him blood. And I called Fury, and I'm like, I think it's the first time in my career that I regret not calling a helicopter, because if that's a trauma patient, super tacky and hypotensive, oh yeah, I'm gonna call a helicopter, right? Like, but it's a medical patient. Why would I call a helicopter for a medical patient? And then I went to work at the dispatch center the next day, and I was talking to a paramedic that we work with there, and he's like, "You give TXA?" I was like, "Hold on a second, I'm gonna go close my head in my car door a couple more times." So right, so yeah, we do it after the fact, but I do it on the call sometimes. Be like, "Hey, like, am I missing something?" Yeah.
Mine was, did I ever tell the story about like defibrillation and the proper voltage for defibrillating a rest patient I had?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I had this guy that like, I was so concerned. I was like a brand new medic, like maybe a couple months out of class, and this guy just like drove into the side of a house.
Right.
And like not like through it, but like just pinned up the driver's side door. And he wasn't going that fast because there wasn't like a crazy amount of damage, but right up the road from the station, we go up there. He's got like a super weak carotid pulse. Just like get him out of the vehicle quick, load him into the unit. By that point, no carotid pulse. Put the pads on him. VFib. I'm like, oh, this is what medic class was for. Like first,
Right.
like I think it's the first time I defibbed anybody actually since I became a medic. So I was like, okay, like this is it. And we're like 5 minutes from the hospital, so we're like basically running this BLS because it's like, what can you get done on the way there? And I remember I defibrillated and I was like, okay, everything went well. And then I was looking at the strip afterward and I see 200 joules. And I'm like, oh no. In class, they told me I need to defibrillate at 360 joules. Like this guy's dead now. Like we didn't save him. He's dead. I did it. It's my fault. This is now the end of the world. I am the worst person that exists.
Right.
So what do I do? Right? I call a couple people, medics that had been working there for 15, 20, 25 years. And I'm like, hey, this happened. They're like, I don't think that voltage is going to be the thing that they're trying to make me feel better. I get back to the station and I start like looking at the specification. It's a biphasic monitor, which only goes up to
Right.
200 joules.
200
Right.
joules.
So I talked to like 3 or 4 different people who none of whom were like, oh yeah, well, no, you actually did do the right thing because that's what it
Right.
goes up to is 200 joules.
Right.
Like I was like, none of you guys know what you're doing either, and you've been doing this 25 years.
Did you actually like did your monitor show you how many joules were actually delivered?
Yeah, on this it was a Zoll, so on the strip it says like 200 joules with a little lightning sign, like right on the strip when you do it.
Well, so if yours actually measures impedance, it will actually tell you. So like it sends a lower joule charge through to see how much is actually sent and actually goes through the body, and then it'll adjust for what you want to deliver. So like if you're defibrillating at like 150 joules and there's 16 joule impedance, it'll actually deliver like 166.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. Yeah. So next time you defibrillate someone, it'll actually tell you what the impedance is and how many were actually delivered.
Did life packs do that too?
I believe so.
We're about to get those like new ones, like the nice
The
ones that are like
35s or something like that.
Yeah.
whatever they are, Series X or
Yeah.
something. I forget what they're called.
Well, that's
Sirius
his all.
X is all.
I don't know what we're gonna do. They said that there's gonna be a training one day. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna learn how to use it, and that's gonna be that.
Right.
But I think now the life packs are 360 by phasic.
Yeah. So, but even though it goes to 360, it still only delivers a certain amount of joules. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll tell you how many joules it delivered with the impedance and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's how like the PD
max
pads work
charge
too, right?
full
Is the
send.
PD pads are just built to have like impedance into it, so it takes away some of the strength of the shot.
On the AED,
But not on our cardiac monitors.
No, because you're trained to say that that's like a 10-kilogram patient, and the first defib's 1 to 2 joules, so you have to deliver 20. Your second's 2 to 4, so you should deliver 40.
Well, because like a lot of services use cardiac monitors for their BLS providers on cardiac
so
arrest.
when they go into AED mode,
it will do that.
Yeah. So
okay.
Which I'm sure it calculates off of that impedance how big this patient is.
Yeah. So, that's it, and that's I will tell you that's one of my pet peeves. I was showing up as a paramedic, and there's a paramedic on scene, and the fucking monitor's in AED mode. Like,
yes,
immediately you're done treating the patient, and I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Right.
I walked in on the same provider on 2 arrests doing that. I was like, first I'm like, hey, do you know this is an AED mode? How did that happen? You hit analyze. That's the only way it happens.
Yeah.
You hit analyze.
Yeah. You put it there. I don't know how it happened. You did it. You most certainly are the reason that it happened.
I had an ATEC do that to me once.
Which that I kind of understand.
I get that, right? Because they're
when
not.
They do it, bam, that's what we're doing. But
wait. You were on the call?
Correct.
No, that's my monitor, right?
I was like, hey, can you put the pads on? Puts the pads on. Boom, analyze. And then I could not figure out how to turn that off.
So you can't.
Right.
Yeah. So
do you have a life pack, right?
At that time it was a Zoll.
Okay. The life packs, all you do is hit charge and it puts it in manual mode.
It does? I thought I thought it stayed once in AED mode, it stayed in AED mode.
No, you can override it by charging it.
Did you ever use a Philips before they came out with the Tempest?
That piece of garbage.
With the dial on it, and you went it was.
Yeah, I prefer that
off.
over the Tempest. Yeah.
Yeah. It was off, and then you selected how many joules you wanted, but if you went the whole way to the left, it went into AED mode.
Yeah.
So, because for years, the city of Pittsburgh, their fire trucks were riding around with full-size monitors for their AEDs because they got a grant.
I personally think it would be sweet if we brought back the paddles. Like, I get that they're not the most effective nor efficient.
But they are the coolest
something about
looking.
taking them, and I've always wanted to do that. I haven't gotten to do that.
So,
is it super important to you that it's actually live, or do you just want to hold some paddles?
Good question.
Yeah,
I suppose I could settle for a mannequin.
If I'm gonna do it, I want to do it, right?
I mean,
I was pissed when I got it fucking IO'd. I wasn't awake. I wanted to be awake when I got IO'd.
I'll help you relive the conscious IO if you'd like. I'll drill you. Nah, you good?
This is called evidence, bro. It's subpoenable.
No, I mean, if you happen to be ill in some way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Seriously ill, appearing and crashing patient. They need an IO.
Exactly. And I
got the target.
Yeah.
I got the target. So
no, Fior won't do that. He only does IVs, he said.
Well, that was the other thing I saw. I didn't get asked the IV catheter question.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
How do you feel?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
Aaron's going to be a little upset because I do like the occluding. However, I think that they have a place. I do not believe that
the trash can.
I do not believe a 16 gauge should be occluding because what if I need to use that on a smaller person to do the needle decompression? Now I have to put a syringe on it to get it to work.
I never thought about that. That's a good point.
So
that's why the 14s aren't.
Yeah.
So if you look at a 14, you cannot buy a 14 in
you can. They're special. Yeah. Because I know somebody that has 3 boxes of them, and I'm like,
that's dangerous. That is dangerous. It's dangerous though. Yeah. It seriously is dangerous.
Yeah. No, it's a special order item. They make they're super expensive because they make your order and then that's it. But I imagine.
But I also agree. I also agree with Hunter. it's a thing like pushing that occlusion and you get the hub to pop up. Now I will disagree with Aaron. I like the small wings, not the big like monster ones that you like tie. The small ones, and the small ones had they still have holes in them, and those are to be sutured in.
Yeah,
So if you have somebody that's
that's what
gonna,
they're.
yeah. Now the bigger ones, like you said, are tieable. So in
Yeah.
the field, right? Like you can like tie them around an arm, and if you're clever enough, you can like I've actually seen them where they'll like hold on, I need to get my so they'll like tie it and then they'll run it around a finger to hold it in.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, well, around the elbow, not the finger, but around the
Yeah.
elbow to hold it in.
I was gonna say I'd be pulling the wrong way.
Well,
Yeah, so on the elbow.
if
But
I
you
have
can
a
like
if I have a line low enough on the forearm, I might run my tubing through the finger just to add another stop if it
yeah,
gets pulled on.
Have you guys ever heard of Coban?
Yeah.
yes.
That stuff works pretty good. You don't
Yeah.
need
It
to do any of
does.
that.
It does. But
Yeah.
when your
Sometimes.
vehicle's
Yeah.
limited on space, you may not have Coban available.
So if you just took the space that like having those large self-occluding needles takes up and put in a roll of Coban, you might not have this issue.
They're the same size, buddy. They're the same
That's not
size.
true. The packaging is wider. If you show me a package of two same brand, one's a self-occluding and one is not, I can tell you just looking at the packaging because they
So
So
are
can
can
wider.
I because
They have
they're
they have white
striped.
lines on it. Yeah, they're striped.
But like just physically, like if I were blind, like legally, but you could still make out shapes, like I could look at it and I'd be like, that one's bigger. That's a self-occluding.
We're gonna have to. We'll try this another
Yeah.
time.
I feel like
Seven
I
Springs
could.
next year. I'll bring two and I'll hold
Yeah.
them up to you and I'll be like, which one?
Is it packaging only or is it the catheter itself?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. Do they make the non-occluding ones with the wings? So maybe
Well,
it's
no,
not the occluding part; it's the wing that
it's,
makes it
I
bigger.
think that's what he doesn't like is the wings. But no, like the ones we carry on our
Well,
rig versus
yeah.
the ones you get from the hospital up there, same brand, same button, same everything. The only difference is one's self-occluding, one's not. The packaging's the exact same except the stripe.
I don't like the button either.
So I didn't
I,
either. I
I
didn't
got
either at the
used to
beginning of
it.
my career, but I actually do now.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
I've
with
seen
you.
it pull a catheter just a little bit too far, a couple too many times.
Yeah.
Aren't you holding the catheter?
Why don't you hold the catheter?
Oh,
Well,
because you don't.
was it Hunter that called him a Jelko?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
He
don't.
likes Jelkas.
Yeah. Which I think are the ones that Aaron likes. You like hold the back and push the thing forward. You like push it off the needle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were the old UPMC like back in the day. Like
That's the only thing you can get at UPMC hospital around here.
they don't have the push buttons. Like here it's AHN has a push button. What does Butler run? I don't even know.
The same thing, just non-self-occluding.
Oh, okay.
It's yeah. So, Aaron, is this the one that you're talking about?
We're breaking all
No.
kind of ground here. Sharing
I
screen
know.
and stuff.
These the ones that you like,
Yeah.
Aaron?
But that has the button.
No, it doesn't.
No, not the big picture.
Let me see the packaging. That's what. Yeah, the packaging there, bottom right. Nah, those aren't it either.
That one.
Nah.
Yeah, I know what one he's talking about. But it's yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I still don't think if you had two of the same brand that you would be able to tell.
Like I understand why some people don't like them though. It creates a bit of laziness, and then when you don't get one, you're like, oh shit. I've actually seen paramedics that like are so relying on that they don't have their loop out. They don't have their like flush on their loop. They don't. How about that,
So-
Aaron? A loop or just a cap?
Oh,
Yeah, we don't get those in Butler County. You get a
Nope.
cap.
So I have
Serial
a
killer
different
stuff.
take on the
Yeah.
flush. I won't have a flush on my loop.
I don't flush my loop either. I pull the blood back into my loop
Yeah,
and then
right.
flush my loop.
Yeah, for two reasons. One, like I hated it when people like hand you a loop with a flush attached to it because now
Yeah,
it's
it's like-
heavier and awkward.
Yeah.
And you're trying to like occlude the vein, screw the hub on, and I it's just
I also am one of those people that like, if I'm removing the needle part of it and not pulling the catheter, it's in the vein, right? Like, so I don't, right? Like, I'm gonna spin it on. I'm gonna put the occlusive on it and everything before I flush it.
Have you guys ever used, like, you know how you float an IV catheter in? Have you ever used a blood draw to do that?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my move that I teach new students whenever, because every new student that misses an IV thinks that, oh, I just need to float it in. It's like, no, you're not in. Like, try again. But rather
Well,
than flushing, 2 to 10 milliliters of normal saline into somebody's arm and infiltrating, you can check to see if you're actually there and put the hub on and start pulling. And then
Yeah.
if you really are in it, you can usually float it in.
Well, that's why I like to leave the loop empty and then
crack it
dry
and
out.
yeah.
That way I know I'm in. And then sometimes, if for whatever reason some valves seem to you're easier to float pulling on them, others you're easier to float flushing through. So
Plus, I love being called a vampire, so I like drawing blood.
yeah,
Right.
I mean, there's that. That's a
And
thing.
I remember when I started, every ALS patient got blood draws. Every ALS patient, we drew blood on.
Well, I think a lot of people are still doing it up in Butler County.
Really? We supposed to be doing that?
I don't know. They're in their restock. There's little blood draw kits.
I
I
do
think
it all the
that's the
time.
stroke. I think that's the stroke kit, buddy. Supposed to be drawing them for strokes so that you can walk in and hand them the blood. That used to be a thing too. Like and then you initialed them for strokes, for STEMIs, trauma. I think when we were going to Allegheny at one point, we were drawing a certain tube that they could take right to the lab
Great
to.
top.
Is that what it is? Cross and type.
The big one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
great tops.
you would hand it to them and they would take it right to the lab and cross and type so that if they needed blood, they weren't blowing through an egg.
Yeah.
A lot of your hospitals throw
Unfortunately
your
for
labs
me,
away, don't they?
I need an egg.
Some do, depending on who you are, because there are some people that don't understand that you have to invert them. You don't shake them. You invert them slowly, that a full tube isn't really a full to the top tube. It's to the line on there, like there's intricacies to drawing labs. And
People
then
get
there's a
mad at
bunch.
us around here if we don't do it.
Yeah.
Well,
That seems silly because how long does it take to draw some labs if you already have a line in place? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I just know so many people that have been like, oh, I don't do it because they just throw them away.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you that's why most people stopped was because they watched them say, thanks for the blood, right into the trash can.
yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, if they came back tomorrow and were like, hey, every stroke patient gets a blood draw. Yeah. Right.
Okay. I'll do it.
Like, I probably want some evidence why. And it's not just like because we said, but like,
yeah. Well, the other thing with that is how much time is it actually saving? You know what I mean?
It could depend. It's
like I know
Answer.
when I was working out in the East boroughs, both health systems, when you called a stroke alert, like
they had to.
They met you at the door with somebody's drawing labs, somebody's checking a sugar, the doc or the PA or NP is doing another nerve assessment,
now,
and then you're straight to the scanner.
Yeah, now they're doing a lot of point of care stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So they have the point of care testing for what everything. Right. And you'll see them. They'll have like 4 of them lined up, and they'll take 1 tube of blood, draw a syringe up, and go down the line.
Yeah. Those blood gas machines, those are interesting.
You ever have blood gas drawn? That fucking hurts because it's arterial.
The ones that I've seen in the ER, they just take them out of a tube. So I guess there's a venous blood gas.
There's a venous blood gas and arterial blood gas.
Yeah, you ever accidentally hit an artery?
Yeah. Definitely. Like I flushed it and I'm like, oh, that was a little weird to push. And then I hooked the bag up and it was like, I'm like, oh, bro, art line.
So I had an arrest. I had a student. They were doing an IO. They botched the IO, but it's irrelevant. There's a juicy AC, so I thought, nope,
I'm in.
Yeah, and then as when there's no compressions, it looks great. When compressions are going, I'm like, ooh, can we get a little more pressure on that bag?
I had a student the one day start a line, and I'm like putting the 12 lead on and doing something. I turned around and they started the line this way, and I'm like, we're gonna have to pull that out.
Yeah, that's
so. But I mean, like,
for traffic,
not great. Wrong way, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever.
Back.
Yeah, point back. Yeah.
You're driving down the wrong way on the interstate right now.
Yeah.
Just with medications.
Some
Have
of the
you
other ones. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
have you
Go ahead.
have you seen those videos that are on like Facebook and TikTok? They're somewhere in a foreign country where they're just like starting IVs, but like they'll have these massive veins and they're like 24. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
infuriating. I'm like, come on. I'm not saying
So,
like size
so,
for sport, but
well, but there's Aaron,
you can put a 20 or 18 there easily.
what's your go-to IV?
20.
So, like, you have me in the back of your truck. You're pulling a 20 out before you even look at my veins.
I mean, I usually don't pull anything out before I look at your veins.
All right. But I know there's some medics out there that like they gather their IV stuff. They open the drawer, they gather the start kit, the loop, the flush, and 20 gauge or 18 gauge.
Yeah. I mean, I'll normally grab out an 18 and a 20.
Yeah,
Um, and then, but like, I'm also peeping your veins.
yeah.
And
So
if
like
like I'm,
little old grandma has a monster vein on the like in the front of her arm. You gonna throw a 16 in it if it'll hold it?
absolutely not. No, not unless I have some reasonable suspicion that we need to be able to move massive amounts of fluid, medication, blood,
I've
something.
never used an IV bigger than 18.
Yeah. Like I'll throw a 16 on a trauma on a, like your GI bleed guy. If he had veins that would support it, I would have thrown a
He
16
got a
on that.
14.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
no, he got a 16, but it was like right in the back of his hand.
yeah, like something that I think you're going to need to move massive amounts in or out. I'm going to go bigger. Like 90% of your patients don't need bigger than a 20 gauge.
Correct. Yeah, but like there's also some people that like you have grandma that has a pressure of 90, heart rate of 120, and they're like, oh, she can only hold a 22. And you're like, no, she doesn't. Like she deserves the best care, and she's going to need lots of fluid. So find something that can hold a larger line.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can also start a 22 to get care rolling and try to
Hmm.
get those veins to pump up. But no, I agree.
Now,
If the patient needs a bigger IV, give them a bigger IV for sure. But what I hate is those assholes are like, I only start 18s or 16s. Like I've had when I've worked on double medic trucks, it's like you get a stroke patient. It's like, all right, I got an IV over here. What size? 18. And they like put their catheter back and grab a 16 because they're not going to be outdone. Like, come
yeah, I
on.
mean,
What
right.
are you doing? Like,
Um,
anyways.
What about the tubing? So like we're all the extension set people, right? Instead of just have you ever actually seen the flow through that little stopcock at the end compared to straight through the tubing? It's actually slower.
What do you
So
mean?
so take a bag of fluid
Yeah.
and put a stopcock on it, right? So like
Yeah.
the thing that either the cap or the loop and let it flow. Then just take a bag of fluid with nothing on the end of it and let it flow. It'll flow faster without going through anything.
Yeah. You mean like the loops that have like the really tiny tubing
No,
in them?
even the
Uh,
bigger even the ones with the larger bore because it's going through a device that slows it down. Think about like in the fire service, anytime it goes through a device,
yeah.
it has friction loss. It actually
Yeah.
flows a little slower. It's not
Uh,
like
yeah.
massively slower, but like
Yeah. I
that was
think
something that
the
like back in the day where like trauma patients only get straight into the IV. And you're like, why? Oh, you can get fluid in quicker, but we were also turning people into Kool-Aid, right?
yeah. I think like what you would lose in the speed on that, you more than make up for with it doesn't come back out whenever you try to take it
Well,
off and
right. Well, and there's like we're giving different meds now. We understand that giving 3 liters of fluid to somebody with who was a trauma patient, we're just like, oh,
yeah.
we got 3 liters into this person. Ah, cool. So like if they weren't fluid overloaded, now they're fluid overloaded, and if they were bleeding, they're like done.
Yeah. I mean, that was the other thing when we were talking with Jeff about how much the medicine has changed, the outcomes have changed. And, like we were talking about the stroke patients that you had a stroke, you were done. Now you're not,
I mean, look at me, right?
yeah. 10, 15 years ago,
5 years ago,
that'd
right?
have been it for you, man. That'd
Yeah,
have been all they wrote.
yeah. So I remember the glucose strips. Like he was right. If you were I was gonna say I thought he was frozen, but if you like if you were colorblind, or the strips were like or if they were like old, or
Yeah.
like you got too much blood on it or something like that, it would definitely like, and then you'd be like, is this light blue? Is this dark blue? Is it purple? Is it, you know?
Oh yeah.
I worked with an old
Yeah.
school medic that told people that before we got those test strips that he just tasted the blood to see if it was sweet or not, and like students would believe him. So yeah, I mean
Well,
that
yeah.
dude's been doing EMS longer than I think I've been alive. So, and he still does it.
Oh yeah. Do I know
Yeah.
them?
Yeah. You know his son too.
Jeff Kelly.
Nah, not Jeff. DJ and KJ.
Okay.
Jeff and TK were the only father-son duos I know.
Nah.
Took a
There's
shot.
another North Hills father son duo that is like notorious. And they're great paramedics too. Well, one's a PA now. So
Right
so
on. I know that.
but that's a big thing in the North Hills, you know. You got Abby and Eric Schmidt, right?
Uh-huh.
Father daughter. You got the Porter boys. I think two, if not three of them are EMTs.
Yeah. I
You
think
got Jeff and Ty. You got Jeremy Nickel and his son up here in Cranberry area. You know, it's a
yeah.
big thing. A lot of
Yeah.
families.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they I'm working on that presentation for the end of August.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's one of the things that like what got you into EMS. And it's, one of the questions is it family tradition? There's a lot of that, I think
yeah,
it probably stems from the fire department whenever all these ambulances used to run out of the volunteer fire company.
yeah.
It
You
was
know,
the family business.
yeah. And like when I came to Mars, we still had a ambulance. It wasn't fire company based at that point, but it was definitely like it was still owned by the fire company. They
Okay.
weren't volunteer anymore, but you know,
It's like
that's how it
Slippery Rock.
started. Yeah, it was exactly like that. Yeah, or Monroeville. Yeah, like even Parkview, right? Parkview's still owned by the firehouse,
You know what?
I
Yeah, I
think.
think they are.
Yeah,
I don't like make that connection all the time because they're not like in the firehouse or
right. Yeah,
in eye
yeah,
shot of the firehouse even.
yeah. Not even close. But
Yeah. But
and that
yeah,
was another thing. Like the whole, if your preceptor tells you to run, you should run. You should run from that preceptor to a new one,
100%. Yep.
right? You know.
Yeah. Here's another good bit of advice. You're not in love with your preceptor. I promise you.
Right. Yeah. Right. You know,
And
the
they're
other
not
thing,
in love with
like,
you.
right. Yeah. Well, the other, you know, and the other thing is like, get difference of opinions and like, I understand like having someone at the beginning of medic class, sending them away and then having them come back and come to the same preceptor. But, um, you know, I got shown a picture recently, and I am definitely more right leaning than left, right, politically. Um, and I think also getting people of different, like exposure to, their beliefs, like, because unfortunately there's still people that have some sort of bias in where they're doing their work. And, does grandma in a lower economic area deserve different treatment than grandma in a place that you want to take your shoes off when you go into your house? And the
Absolutely.
answer to that is no,
Oh.
they do not.
Uh,
Right. They do not, right? Because I'll
No,
tell you
I
right now,
agree.
the grandma that wants you to take their shoes off respects you a hell of a lot less than the grandma that's living in the ghetto.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
100%.
Yep.
100%. But
So,
yeah, no, it's still prevalent. You see that um with the patients, the mindset anyways.
yeah.
Luckily it is fewer and further between that we're seeing it with the providers that
Yeah. And I think we've done a decent job of, if those people are still around, they don't get students, or their students are educated really quickly about, oh, I just really can't make it in when you're scheduled, but I can make it in when Fiore's working or when Aaron's working, or, like,
yeah.
you know,
No, it's yeah, no, I agree. There's I think EMS has come a very long way. I think there's still some progress to be made in certain areas for sure.
hmm
Um, but and it's just like anything, it's people. It's people based. So
right. But
you
learn
can
all the people, I guess, is
yeah,
what the, like, and I kind of think that like as a family, if you want to call EMS a family, because I think we really are a family. Because my blood doesn't know me nearly as well as at least even you two, right? And Aaron doesn't know me very well, but he knows more about me than most of my blood does.
You're my dad.
Yeah.
And knows, right? I forgot about that. Sorry, buddy.
It's okay,
Right?
man.
I forgot to send a check last month.
I know.
So
I know.
I
We've been
forgot to
struggling.
send the birthday card,
We've been struggling.
but you didn't send me nothing on Father's Day.
It's
You
in
didn't
the
even
it's
call.
it's in the mail. It's the supply chain stuff.
Oh, likely story.
It's the supply
in
chain
the
stuff
mail.
going on.
Yeah, I ordered it. It's coming from China. It's too
Yeah,
many.
The
Or
tariffs,
whatever,
man.
like,
The tariffs.
Held
yeah,
up,
tariffs
held
got
up
us.
in port. There's
Yeah.
But like, if you
embargo.
were just to see how on and accurate I was with my gift choosing, if you were to get a Father's Day gift, what would you want?
Just you to call and say hi.
A self-occluding catheter,
Yeah, right. Self-including 14.
There you go.
special order.
Yeah, special order.
I guess Aaron dipped out over there with the video. He's sick of us.
For a minute, you did.
Yeah.
You cut for a minute.
Yeah, I mean,
Thought it was ironic. You were like, "Oh, what did you want for Father's Day?" Then your screen goes black. I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess he
It
doesn't
didn't
care."
go black on our end. It went black on your end.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it dipped out on you,
Crazy.
Fior, not on
false
us.
accusations.
We
Yeah,
can see each other.
quit trying to separate
Yeah.
a father and a son.
The family over here was still together. You were over there, like. What are you,
Oh, maybe I was just giving you guys a moment.
We finally made amends.
Yeah,
You're
that's
trying to tear us apart. Haters, man.
we got off
Toxic.
track.
Toxic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But no, you're right. EMS is more of a family structure. I think
It's definitely a melting pot of everybody, and I hope that people can understand that you need to. What is that sound?
That would be my ice maker.
That's awesome.
Also coming to you in the mail.
I would take that. I'll take that to the beach with me.
It's not an ice maker. It's just the ice.
well, how are you going to keep it cold?
I didn't think that far
I'm
ahead.
getting a bottle of water.
Pack it in some ice.
Yeah, and pack it in some dry ice. So now I get wet ice.
But no, it is a melting pot, and the different perspectives. Even if you look at it from like the clinical end only, you may do something a little different than I do it, and Aaron may do it a little different, and neither of us is wrong. It's just how it works best for us. Like IV catheters, it doesn't work for Aaron to have self-occluding, but if that student's like not exposed to those and whatever other habits or prepping for procedures or what have you, like they
Jeff talked about the video laryngoscope, right?
Yeah.
There's still some places that do not have that funding, do not have the money to do that. So if you are taking a student and you're not teaching them how to innovate with a old school, like there's still places out there that are running like light bulb and not even fiber optic light, so you got white, tight, and bright, like, cool. Did they teach you that in meta class, Aaron?
It's a state truck inspection requirement, actually. Have an extra spare light bulb, even if you have the fiber optic.
No, white, tight, and bright. When you
go to innovate,
that's how I like my women.
Do you put the blade on?
What did you say?
That's how he likes his women.
Oh my God.
but no, you put the blade on and you make sure it's bright, and then you tighten it, and
that's white.
And also, whenever you did your truck check, you'd make sure you didn't have any loose bulbs in on any of your blades.
But you're right. Like even on the fiber optic, like you have to make sure that you have a spare bulb. You have to have spare batteries.
Yeah.
Can we make the name of this episode "Bright, Tight, and White"?
We'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll think about that.
Let's circle back on that, maybe.
Yeah, that'll come with an explicit warning.
Yeah. Shout out to Aaron's parents for tuning into this episode.
Randy and Ellen.
What's their names?
Randy and Ellen.
Nice. Hi, Randy and Ellen. I'm Talo.
Substitute dad.
I'm Fior. I would just like to say that I don't believe Talo or I is responsible for the corruption of your son.
You're more than me. It was meta class, right?
It's TK.
It was TK.
TK's the problem.
TK is the problem.
We're going to throw him under the bus since he's not here to defend himself.
He's not here to defend himself. So TK, you are the problem. Morgan Wallen wrote a song about you.
Yep. Nobody tell him. We'll make sure he watches this episode.
Right. I won't be like, hey, TK, you gotta, yeah. Don't even make it like one of the TikTok like previews or anything. Yeah. Yeah. That's the name of the episode. I'm the problem.
I'm the problem. I like
I
it.
like-
I'm the
I like
problem.
it.
I like
Right.
my idea, but whatever you guys want to do, I guess.
Well, maybe like I'm the problem, white, tight, and bright.
Seems too wordy.
Does.
Yeah. WTB.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, we could do WTB. I can
Yeah.
do that.
Oh boy. This is gonna be
yeah.
interesting.
It is. Well, we have yet again run out of time with certainly more that we could talk about.
Right. Got more.
So,
So.
I mean, we're gonna have to have you back again, man. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. You're gonna have to
Oh,
come
I
back.
enjoy it.
No,
Right.
so.
I love talking to you guys. So
we love.
We're
having
gonna
you
do
on,
a
man.
focus
It's
group
helpful.
first to make sure that you know your episode is on brand with what we're trying to do here at Thanks for the Consult. But as long as the
Understood.
results from that come out promising, we'd
Also,
Right.
do you know where to find a focus group?
I thought you just like asked people.
I mean, I know exactly where to find a focus group, and it's normally the end of March, beginning of April at a certain town in southwestern Pennsylvania. Right?
I think I've heard of that group. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know where to.
That's where I met my kid.
I know.
That's where I met my kid.
There
He's
you
not
go.
allowed in the hot tub with a bottle of wine this year, though.
I know where to
Unless he
find.
brings the whole bottle.
I know
in.
where to find an unfocused group.
Yeah,
Same place. Yep. Or right here, the three of us.
Yeah, there's different points throughout the day. Is focused
It
on.
can be focused or unfocused. Maybe it goes by the amount of alcohol we've had.
How many stimulants does it
Right.
take to make a
Well, you
podcast
too.
episode?
Yeah. But no, we definitely want to do like an actual
Live.
round table. Yeah, I do want to do it live, like a live stream as well. But it'll just that episode will come out later in the day, obviously.
Yeah. It is now 11:30 at night, and we
Yeah.
have found everybody finally. And
Yeah.
right, most of
Yeah.
us are sober.
Yeah, exactly.
So, right.
Or maybe it'll just be a special bonus episode that comes out just random.
Or
I
you
don't
could
know.
do your round table there. Get like a hospitality room and
That's
just
what
bring the
yeah.
different people in. Like you two sit there, and it's like, what was that show? Like
Judge Judy.
that E does. It was like no, like
Fatherless
the
Bay.
below deck and stuff like that. That one dude that like
yeah.
after thing, and they bring everybody back in, and they're
Yeah.
like separate and together, and then at the very end, you can just bring
Yeah.
everybody in and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it.
I don't know if you could get all that awesomeness in one room.
Still sounds like Judge
You
Judy.
put Juanita and Kate together.
Those two.
Juanita,
It's
Kate, and TK.
Yeah, as long as there's no shiny objects, I think we'll be all right. Juanita will see something in the hall and just like peace out.
I'm out. Does anybody seen Juanita? Nita,
where's
where
she?
you at? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. I saw this thing. It was interesting. I don't know that I'm in Pennsylvania anymore.
Juanita, you're showing in Ohio. You even went the wrong way. Maryland, the closest state.
Well, hey, Taylor, thanks again for joining us. Thank you for yet another consult. We'll absolutely have you back on. Thank you guys for listening and watching and spending this time with us. We truly appreciate all of you guys for joining us along this journey. If you're interested in being on the show, please reach out to us. Thanks for the consult at gmail.com. And thank you guys again for supporting us through this first bit of this journey. And we're excited to see where this road goes.
See you, Dad.
See you, son.
Bye.
Bye.